Hello, I'm K Kanger, and you are watching No Enemies Here Wargaming News.
Great battles of small units. Battles of the Black Cavalry, the 10th Cavalry Brigade, 1st Armored Division from Poland to Wilhelmshaven. Hill 262, Chambois, 19th to the 21st of August, 1944. What you get with this game are two boards of approximately 42 by 59 centimeters, 308 die-cut counters, a color rulebook, 2 cards with scenarios, play rate cards, and cards with historical sketch. Decision Games Modern War Issue 41 Game Edition 6th Fleet is a 2-player strategic level war game of the struggle for the Mediterranean set during a hypothetical Warsaw Pact versus NATO war during the 1970s and the 1980s. And what you get with this game is one 22 by 34 inch map and a sheet of 228 counters. World at War issue number 66 Game Edition. Cruise of the Graf Spee is an operational tactical solitary game that puts you in command of the KMS Graf Spee, the German battle cruiser that made a historic epic voyage through the South Atlantic during the opening days of World War II. What you get with this game is a 22 by 34 inch map and 176 die-cut counters. HEXES Games Moravian Sun. This is a game designed by Enrico Acerbi and covers the masterpiece battle fought and won by Napoleon against the hopes of the Third Coalition. This game is a 85 by 60 centimeter map, 216 5/8 of an inch counter and 280 half-inch counters, 5 play rate cards, rules, manuals, 2 6-sided die. The scale for the Empire rules is roughly 1 to 30,000. Each hex covers approximately 450 to 500 meters. Each turn represents 1 hour of real time. Complexity is medium. Solitaire suitability is low. Compass Games! Hearts and Minds. This is the 3rd edition of Hearts and Minds, and it is an uncomplicated approach to a very complicated conflict. Complexity is low to medium. Solitaire suitability is medium to high. The time scale. Each scenario represents 1 year. The campaign game covers 8 to 10 years. The map is divided into provincial areas indicating major cities and US major bases. The unit scale, they're abstracted and represent US, ARVN, NVA, and VC, Cambodian, and Laotian. This is a 2-player game. It's solitaire friendly. Playing time is 45 minutes or less per scenario, designed by John Paniski, solitaire developer David Westman. And what you get with this game is a 24-page rules scenario book, solitaire player aid, 3 counter sheets, 22 by 33 inch mounted map, 80 standard playing cards, 2 6-sided dice, and a box and a lid. Hallenspiele, Anthony and Cleopatra, the final war of the Roman Republic, a game designed by John Thiessen. The map artist is Ilya Kudryashov. Playing time is 120 minutes. This is a 2-player game, and it solos very well. What you get with Anthony and Cleopatra is a 22 by 34 inch map, 88 5/8 of an inch counter, 12-page rulebook, 4-page player aid, 2 player display sheets, 20 province cards, and 1 6-sided die.
TOWNSEND, and Dan was kind enough to invite me to come back one last time to talk about my game, For What Remains. This is being published by Dan Versen Games. It's a post-apocalyptic skirmish level war game. Super light, quick playing, dynamic skirmish level combat. So in past episodes of No Enemies Here, I discussed an overview of the game, so I'm not going to do that tonight or today. I'm just going to cover a couple of last bits that I think that some war gamers who are fans of this type of game would be interested to know about the game. So two things. One is the way that the board is configured and assembled, and then the solitaire system for solo gamers. Just wanted to cover that briefly. So the first thing we'll talk about is the board. It's constructed of these 7x7 grid, but 8" by 8" tiles. And so the reason that's different is because the counters in the game are either 1" or 2" counters. And I wanted to make sure that when a counter was inside of a gridded space, you had plenty of room on just the edges of the counter to see the terrain markings. So when you place a counter there, it's not going to cover, it's not going to mask the indicator of what kind of terrain you're in. So 7x7 gridded area, but 8" gives you just a little bit extra space to get the counter in there and see that extra information you're going to want to see. So that's the size of the grids and the boards and the way they're gridded. The other thing about them is the way they're assembled. So each board is double-sided. It's going to feature the same kind of general terrain on both sides, though usually it's going to be a different focus. So you might have city street on one side and then some asphalt with some objects on it that provide some blocking terrain, or elevated terrain. So when you play the game, you can play, when you're playing through a campaign especially, you have a scenario, it might tell you, hey, this is the default configuration, but there's always an option for players to competitively build out the board. And the reason you would do that is each faction in the game plays differently. Some factions are all about range combat, some are close combat. So you would want to build the board in such a way that it lends itself well to your faction's strengths and takes advantage of your opponent's faction's weaknesses. So as you're building the board, the only rules are it has to ultimately end up in a 3x3 grid, and like sides have to touch. So you can see asphalt here and concrete here, so you can't place them here. You would have to rotate the tiles so that the sides fit. So there's a couple of examples where that doesn't happen here. If you were placing the board, you would have to assemble it such that it was a legitimate placement, but then that's it, that the board is created. And when you start the match, you would just alternate taking turns, competitively building up. So if you can imagine, we're looking at least 9 boards per for the core game, and then as we work through expansions and stuff like that, and when the game's on Kickstarter, we'll probably unlock some extra tiles. So we're looking at a lot of different modularity, a lot of different replayability, and how you can configure the boards. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about with the way the board works. Let's talk about the solitaire system now for a second. So when I was designing the solitaire system for this game, I wanted it to feel as much like the 2-player competitive version of the game as possible. I wanted to provide a challenge to the solitaire player. I wanted to provide them some interesting decisions, and I wanted each character in the game, and each character is very unique. They have their own special powers, they have their own strengths. I wanted each of them to have their own AI, meaning there's not just a single AI that governs all actions by all characters. And so ultimately what happens is every character has their own card, and this card tells what the character will do. Now I know obviously you can't see this card in detail, so I'll make sure Dan gets a copy and he can display it. But essentially it just tells you the game is driven by a chit pull system, so when you pull the chit for the character, you're going to check a couple of different very simple things to see if they're true, and if they are, they're going to guide what orders the unit gets. So right here I have a medic. Again, I'll include a copy of the counter for Dan. So let's say that you pulled the medic and you're playing against her. So she comes up, you would check her AI card. The first thing you would do is check to see if she's engaged. She is, that means that she's in contact with an enemy character. She is engaged, so you're going to roll a die and you're going to see what the result is. Now, it's not just an equal distribution of chance, it's going to be based on the character's own strengths and what their role is. So she's a medic, so she's still going to be predisposed to try to heal either herself to survive or somebody else if they're close. So that's the first thing you would check. If she wasn't engaged, let's say that she was away from her opponent, you would check to see if she's injured. Now, the game has a very simple sort of step loss system that models both injuries to the character and their experience or their abilities over time as they get stronger. So let's say she was injured, you would check that, and there's a really good chance that she's going to want to try to heal herself. If it wasn't the medic, if it was a different character and they were injured, they would try to move to a medic if there was one on the board. And then lastly, if they're not engaged and they're not injured, they'll go to their orders. Orders range, it depends on the scenario. So oftentimes usually the scenario is going to be based on trying to accomplish an objective, and there'll be a really good chance that your character is driven towards trying to complete the objective, but not always. Sometimes they're going to try to scavenge, or sometimes they'll try to attack an opponent. It just depends on the character. If they are a heavy combatant in the group and one that you would normally rely on to try to take out the enemy, then they're going to be more likely to attack. If they are a support character or one that has a lot of mobility, a lot of ability to move around the battleground, then they're probably going to be more likely to try to scavenge tokens off the board, which is just represents you scavenging from the environment or trying to complete an objective. Each scenario in the campaign provides guidance on what those unique objectives are, so the objective orders are. So that's it. It's very simple. Like I said, each character gets their card. There's 5 different characters per faction, so you can imagine you're only looking at 5 different cards per match when you're facing an enemy, because you can have multiple copies of a character, but there's only 5 different types, so you're only looking at 5 different ones. Now, this card provides a sort of a quick reference description of what the action is, but even at the most verbose version, this is the full reference sheet for the complete order for an entire faction. So the entire faction, all of their actions is on one sheet. So like I said, the goal was to make it modeled after the specific character, but I didn't want it to be extremely complicated and tons of flowcharts. It's really designed to just pull the chit, roll a die, check a couple of things, roll a die, and move. So it's trying to stay with the game's general principle of being fast, dynamic, play quickly, finish the skirmish up, and move to the next scenario. So I think that covers what I wanted to talk about. Thanks for your time, I appreciate it, and hope you find some of what I talked about interesting.
STUKAJOE's got an update on his channel, and I'll let him tell you what's on.
Yesterday, I uploaded a new video. It's a preview video of Platoon Commander Deluxe, The Battle of Kursk by Flying Pig Games. So let me know if you like the new format. Maestro Pancaldi.
MAURO FAINA with episode 25 of Il Gianni Zero, the episode Lebensraum. Stegler, help me. Lebensraum, The War for Europe, 1941 to 1945 is a game designed by Steven Newberg, published by Compass Games. Cody of the Discriminating Gamer is giving us the Discriminating Gamer Live. They're playing Star Wars Rebellion. Cat, also known as Gloryhound, gives us a convention recap of FNORDCon 2019. This is the Steve Jackson board game convention. Mo of Mo's Game Table is busting my chops today with an unboxing of Light Division Flashpoint in the Gulf. You know what? He was kind enough to make my life easy. Here he is in all his glory. Mo.
Hey guys, it's Mo from Mo's Game Table, and this week on the channel we'll be doing a couple more unboxings. The first one is an oldie from 1989. It is called Light Division from 3W, and then the second one is Pacific Tide from Compass Games. Next week we'll be doing a special preview of a game that is coming to Kickstarter in a couple months from Lock and Load Publishing, a game a lot of people have been asking about. Trial of Strength 2nd edition, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for all the support, guys. Keep watching the channel. See ya.
Itinerant hobbyist is playing a retro tactical World War II wargame variant rules, 5th edition. He's playing ASL 88's Adzon. Get your RPG and war game fix at ARDWULF'S. He has a live chat. Also, an unboxing of John Butterfield's Space Corps. Kyle Seeley is giving us his thoughts on Conquest of Paradise, Empire Building in Polynesia, 500 AD, a game designed by Kevin McPartland, published by GMT. Jeff McAleer of the Gaming Gang is unboxing Empire of the Sun. He's taking a first look on the Daily Dope, a game designed by Mark Herman, published by GMT. The Player's Aid are unboxing Saipan and Tinian from Legion Wargames, and also ranking coin volumes 1 to 8. On the Gimpy Gamer, Gimpy's Gal guesses Hearts and Minds, Vietnam. Game designed by John Paniski, published by Compass Games. The Gimpy Gamer himself continues with a playthrough of Hearts and Minds, Vietnam. The original Grognard will tell you what's on his site.
Everybody, welcome back. Devin, the OG, the original Grognard. And this week, we're taking a look at World at War 85, Storming the Gap from Lock and Load Publishing. Scenario 10, Zweite Gegenangriff. This is the prototype game version that I am playing, not the full edition, which is expected to be hitting stores and people's doorsteps at the end of July. Lead designer is Keith Tracton. Artists are Blackwell Hurd, Mark Von Marshall, and Keith Tracton, again from Lock and Load Publishing. Come check it out. We're having a good time. West Germans shooting up the Soviets. What more could you want in a game? It's great.
Professor Riccardo Masini in Vlog 27 is taking a look at 3 war game magazines, C3I, World at War, and Parabellum. This video is in Italian. Lock and Load Publishing has another video out on Space Infantry Resurgence. The video is about T-concepts. The man, the legend, Calandale is wrapping up and reviewing Time of Crisis, a game by Ray Farrell and Brad Johnson, published by GMT, and also the beginning of Invasion 1066 Stamford Bridge, a game designed by Norm Smith, published by Revolution Games. If you want to see what it's like flying a DCS FA-18C Hornet, check out Hex 2 Red 1 Alpha. That's pretty amazing. The War Game Reviewer, Trabajo Serio Esto de los War Games, roughly translates into serious work, playing war games. Wayne Hans is doing an unboxing of the Hex Encounter war game, World War II Deluxe, European Theater. This is a game designed by John Compton and published by Canvas Temple Publishing. Jeff the Capuano is taking a look at the parts and pieces of Thunderknees, the Second World War on the Russian front, 1941 to 1944, a game designed by Frank Chadwick, published by Victory Point Games. Dave is going to tell you a little bit of the goings-on in Centurion's Review.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, I'm Dave from the Centurion's Review, and we're a review website and YouTube channel that specializes in war games, games off the beaten path, forgotten games, and diamonds in the rough. This week we've reviewed The Fall of South Vietnam on our website. It's a low-complexity game about the last few years of the Vietnam War. On our YouTube channel, we've done a first look at Southern Flank, the Battle for Istanbul from Swedish Game Productions. It's a game about a hypothetical Soviet and Bulgarian invasion of Turkey. We've also done a quick look at Rescue Ollie North. It's a novelty game about rescuing Ollie North from a courtroom. Come visit us on our website or YouTube channel. Thanks.
Rob, from Rob's Tabletop World, the strong man of war games, has a special episode of War and Pieces where he dives into the experience that made him a wargamer and asks us to share our stories. Want to know what's happening on the big board? I'll tell you what's happening on the big board. Kevin, Big Man CEO, is checking out Counterattack Magazine issue number 3. He's doing the intro to the 48th Panzer Corps game. I'm assuming he's a little vague in description. The CEO is talking about Le Retour de l'Empereur, Ligny, Quatre Bras, Waterloo, and Wavre. This is the Vive l'Empereur series, a game designed by Didier Ruiz.
Brian Mayer. We're here at the Gathering of Friends in New York City, Niagara Falls. Oh, you know what? People just hate us here. Anyway, we played an incredible game of Star Trek Ascendancy, and here's our true movie maker. Why aren't you behind the camera? Are you going to be directing this later on? Oh, that's how
Get in there. Go.
That's
Get in there. Oh, there he is.
That's Mike.
Hey, Mike. All right, so what are we doing now?
So,
let's move in for a close-up.
Oh, you're going to get my... Duce, I'm sorry about that. But anyway, for no enemies here, tell us a little bit about Star Trek Ascendancy and why it's so good.
Star Trek Ascendancy is up to 5 players, asymmetrical. You are being one of the factions and races in Star Trek. You can be the Klingons, you can be the Cardassians, you can be the Borg, the Federation.
Always a good guy, Germans.
Going around, exploring the universe, tackling and dealing with other enemies. The Borg comes in and completely ruins all of your plans and forces you to make partnerships with people you didn't want to make partnerships with.
It was great. Last night we played, how long did we play? About 3.5 hours?
4 hours. 4 hours.
We were a 4-player game, you know.
How many players? How many players? Show me again.
3 players. And it was an incredible game. He was playing Kim Kardashian and her crew.
Yes.
Is that illegal to say online?
It's legal to say online.
Okay, and then we had the Klingons, and I was a Federation, and then the Borgs hit, and they hit hard. It was a phenomenal game. I highly recommend Star Trek Ascendancy, and oh wow,
so much that he owns 2 copies.
Yes, I own 2 copies. I picked up a copy and figured I already have a copy. So we wish you a great, great show with no enemies here.
MASINI from Italy, and today's topic is solitaire wargaming. That is playing wargames or historical wargames just by yourself. We all know traditional wargames, X and Counters games, are quite easy to play solitaire. You just set up your counters on the map and no hidden information, and you just play to the best of your ability. There are, however, many wargames and historical board games, more complex games, that are quite harder to play solo. I'm thinking about, especially about, card-driven games. Lots of hidden information, lots of cards you should not know about, and that is quite hard to play them solo. More recent CDGs have many dedicated solitaire systems, that is, bots, diagrams, special decks of cards, and other systems. But there are many classic CDG that have no such systems. I'm thinking about Commands and Colors, We the People, Washington's War, Wilderness War, and other great titles, Paths of Glory, that are really hard, if not impossible, to play them solo. Most of all, Twilight Struggle, here it is. There is, however, a method. This method has been devised by a great YouTuber, and you all know about him, and that is STUKAJOE. And this method is, here it is, STUKAJOE's CDG solo method. Now let's just see it in action on our gaming table. Alright, here we are with everything set up. I will be using the cards from European Turmoil for this explanation. Basically, European Turmoil is Twilight Struggle set in the pre-World War I era, and it is a good game to give you an example of how the method works. STUKAJOE's solo method is based on a source book. You can download it freely from Board Game Geek, the Paths of Glory page. This source book contains the main rules, but also these that are specific to HEXES. There is one for the standard method rules, so you use this with any game, and there are also specific tweak sheets for many for the most popular CDGs. There is one for the people, there is one also for commands and colors and paths of glory, etc. These specific tweak sheets contain the standard rules and the special rules together that you need to play a particular game, because there are standard rules but also these special rules that you use them as needed to handle the most common CDG mechanics: combat cards, reaction cards, scoring cards. We'll see that in a minute. So how do you use the method? You just split the deck in two, one for each side, and then you set up 5 areas: A, B, C, D, and E. As you see, A and B have flip-up cards, as listed at the start. Space C is the draw deck, and D and E are face-down cards. Then, anytime you need to play a card, you just use this simple table. STUKAJOE gives you some stickers to apply on an empty die, but you can just use this table, and yes, there is also a special table, but a single. Use this with a single d6. Here it is. And anytime you roll your d6 and you see, alright, I made 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, alright, D or E. Flip up any face down. As you see, the cards start face down but can be flipped. D or E says, there we are, flip face up any face down cards in spaces D or E. Play card D or E for any allowable purpose. You can just play cards D or E. You can play it for the odds or for the event. Let's just say that I play this one, Rifles Rehabilitated. Here we are. And I place another card. The new cards are always placed face up. And then my opponent makes his play, and then I roll once again the die. Alright, number 2, A, 2, A, B or C. Flip the top card from the draw pile C. Here we are. As you see now, we see all the cards. And then he face down cards in spaces A and B. Play card A, B or C for any allowable purpose. If I see, let's just say I play this. Maybe I take another card, always face up. Then my opponent makes his play, then it is my turn once again. I make a play 1, C or lowest face up ops card, Jolly Roger. If there are special cards, if a special card is face up on the display, gets played instead. That is, flip the top card from draw pile, space C, it's already flipped. Play card C or the lowest value face up cards in spaces A, B, D or E. So I can play this card if I really need this card, or the lowest face up cards in these spaces. The lowest space, these are free cards with ops free. I cannot play them, so I just choose between this card or the other cards. This means what is and also a special rule. If to give you an example of a special rule, if it was my last play and I had this one, a scoring card, the special rules for scoring cards says that I do not roll the die and just play the scoring card, because by the game, if I keep my scoring card and do not play it in a hand, I lose the game. So a special rule comes here and tells me, okay, play this scoring card, but there are other ways you can play this scoring card also. What this means is you always have limited choices, but you have always choices. It is not a bot, it does not tell you play this card or the other. You can devise a strategy, and that is one of the things that I really like about this system. It's very versatile. It can be applied to any game, but it is also very flexible. You can still choose your strategy, but many times it won't be easy to follow it. I want to pursue a more defensive strategy, I do it. A more offensive, I want to focus on events, focus on ops, I can do it, but my choices will always be limited. Also, many times I won't know everything I have. Many times I have some of these cards. These cards can be flipped face up or down depending on the results for the die, so I have limited knowledge also. And this solves a problem of bots, that bots are great, but sometimes they do very stupid things. Now you can correct, you have a more flexible system, a more engaging system. You still feel like you are playing both sides, not just watching the bot play. You are still playing both sides, but you are playing it with limited capability and limited knowledge. Most of all, it is very, very instructive. With this system, you can familiarize with the rules. You can also know the deck. You can familiarize with the deck composition, which is crucial. It's fundamental in card-driven games. And most of all, you can have fun with your card-driven games. You can finally play them. You just do not have to wait for an opponent, and you can revitalize, give new life to your games. I always say in Italian, well, in Italian sounds better, non sono giochi, sono i giochi. In English is they are not games if you don't play them. So it is with this system you can play your CDGs also in solitaire. In solitaire mode. This was Riccardo Masini from Italy, and bye to you all. And as I always say, don't be scared. It's just war games.
Lock and Load Publishing, Space Infantry Resurgence, a game designed by Blackwell Hurd and Gottardo Zancani. And this is a game of elite soldiers tasked with protecting the Earth against alien threats in hostile worlds. And what you get with this game are mission maps, hive tiles, node cards, counters, unit cards, mission sheets, scenario cards, campaign sheets, squad rosters, Xenomine cards, co-op board, last outpost, and lots more. Advance After Combat has an episode out dated the 12th of April 2019, and they discuss stuff such as box art, RPGs, train games, veteran statuses, books, D-Day at Iwo Jima, and much more. Harold on Games has a new podcast, episode 18. Why don't I just let Harold tell you?
Hey gang, it's Harold from Harold on Games podcast. I have another podcast out, it's number 18, with Mark Herman. Actually, more Mark Herman. We all need a little more Mark Herman. And with that, I asked Mark a bunch of questions that he doesn't really want to answer. So please tune in. And in the interest of shameless self-promotion, I also have a new game out. It's Campaigns of 1777, published by Decision Games in Strategy and Tactics. I encourage you to take a look. I think it's number 316, which is kind of biblical. The game came out of a discussion I had with Mark Miklos. In that discussion, Mark and I talked about the Battle of Saratoga. Mark talked about the wonderful battle and all the great things that happened and the Americans won, and I don't disagree with that. But what my point was that was really a fait accompli. At that point, Burgoyne had made a series of mistakes, leaving Ticonderoga, pursuing the Patriots, and Howe had made a mistake of not supporting Burgoyne toward Albany. And the end result was an army that was beat fundamentally at Saratoga. So enjoy the game. You'll be able to make decisions, maybe even fix the wrongs that were made by the British, and see if you too can beat the Patriots.
3 moves ahead, episode 466. Dawn of Man, Children of the Nile, and Planet Base, amongst other things. Another show, another week. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my patrons. And if you're thinking of becoming a patron, $5 pledge a month. That's $1.25 a show. That's better than Netflix. Guaranteed not to go up. Unless you want it to go up. Thank you. See you next week. Welcome to the end of the show. This is where I take the opportunity to rant because I have a platform. I mean, Enrico Vicolino can rant. I can't rant. You know, Kevin Sharp, that guy who rants. You're probably asking yourself, why is he doing this? Well, you know what? Speaking with Sal, in his Unconditional Surrender GMT game, fantastic game, Sal puts the city where his mother was from in Sicily, and it has nothing to do with the game. And you know how he explained that? He said, hey, it's good to be the designer. That's why I'm doing this. So anyways, I'm going to put this segment always at the end of the show, obviously called the end of the show. You know, us Grognard, we don't want to see this crap. So I put it at the end. You could skip it. Where are you going to go? It's Saturday morning. And these are just ideas, idiocies, and moronicies that I do. So, hey, have a good one. It's Saturday morning anyways. Where are you gonna go? Stick around. Every day's a new day. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to put out a preview of, hey, this is what's happening next week, but I can't. Because every day's a new day. The players, these guys, they put out videos like they eat. You know what I'm saying? Gimpy's gal, Gimpy, Mo, for God's sakes. The guy puts out a video at the 11th hour, and I gotta scramble, edit, and all that. What do you want? I mean, even Devin, the OG, he's starting to pump him out. You know, here's my impression of the OG. Hey, welcome back, this is Devin, the OG. I mean, you know, thank God Marco Wargamer, is doing a lot of Euros, because if he'd be doing all War Games and pumping them out like that, man, I swear. Here's my impression of Marco Wargamer. Chew Bambers. You know, you're probably saying, what kind of stupidities is Dan doing? What, you never stood in front of a mirror while brushing teeth and did a stupid face? Right, I work in mental health, baby, I know. You know, and I take solace in thinking, you know, yeah, this is stupid, but it ain't as stupid as what this kid did growing up. And you know what? About busting people's chops, I have to bust people's chops. I gotta get in there and say, hey, you want to do this? Hey, you want to do that? It's part of the nature. I mean, it's the nature of the beast, part of the nature. God, I gotta learn how to speak English one day. Anyways, I'm gonna keep busting chops, people. You know, I just saw something on Twitter. Rodney Smith. Love that guy. Love his style. I've got a lot to learn from him. And he tweets stuff on what happens during the day, what's in his channel, and I thought that was a pretty cool thing. I could do an impression of Rodney Smith. You know, I obviously started off, it's a wargaming channel, what I have, but it morphs. You know what I'm saying? I've been pretty lucky on this channel because I've taken a lot of chances. I mean, I've called Mark Herman Uncle. And, I mean, Enrico Viglino, Cheech. You know, I could do my Enrico Viglino impersonation, too. Life! Why? I've spoken with Sal Vasta and asked him if it was okay to call him Liquid Sal. Actually, he told me he was called Saint Sal. So, I guess Liquid Sal on his profitable days and Saint Sal on his not profitable days, if you know what I'm saying. You know, I could do my Sal impersonation.
Have fun.
If you think I'm gonna mess with Liquid Sal, you're crazy. Kevin Sharp, man, the CEO. I've called that guy the CEO, the president for life. Actually, he called himself the president for life, and I blast that guy so much, and he keeps taking it. He keeps taking it. The more punches I give that guy, the more he keeps taking it. Hey, he's a tough guy. You know, he's a descendant of Botany Bay, the penal island, you know, where there was no women. And Kevin, here's my impression of Kevin. I learned from a lot of people, like Rob's Tabletop World. I could do an impression of Rob's Tabletop World. You know, I do this to basically laugh at myself, and I hope I don't offend anybody. It's not meant to offend anybody. It's meant as a lighthearted joke, and if you are offended, I really don't care. You see, I'm joking. So I'm gonna have this once in a while. I don't know if I'm gonna do this every week, you know, time is money, money is time, as the CEO would say. And some people might like it, some people might not like it. No me ne frega, as they say in Italian. And you know what? I want to say something about the thumbs down syndrome that we have this on the internet, right? On the interweb. Leave a comment, man. How do you expect us to get better? I mean, you know, leave a comment, leave your name, your address. You know what I'm saying? You know, so we can talk. It's good to be anonymous.